When billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk pulled into a Wendy's drive-thru late one night, he expected nothing more than a quick meal after 18 hours reviewing Mars mission plans. What he didn't expect was to recognize the face handing him his order. Miguel Rodriguez, a brilliant MIT-educated propulsion engineer who had mysteriously vanished from SpaceX 18 months earlier. The shocking discovery set in motion a chain of events that would uncover industrial espionage, government, conspiracies, and force Miguel to confront the desperate choices he made when his mother fell ill. Now, as Elon offers him an unexpected second chance, neither man realizes they're about to be pulled into a dangerous game of international intrigue that reaches the highest levels of power. Elon Musk tapped his fingers on the steering wheel of his Tesla Model S. The white car hummed quietly in the Wendy's drive-thru lane. He hadn't planned on fast food tonight. A protein bar at his desk would have been enough, but his stomach had other ideas after 18 hours at the SpaceX factory in Hawthorne, California. "Rocket science makes you hungry," Elon mumbled to himself, with a tired smile. The digital clock on his dashboard read 11:37 p.m. Most normal people would be home in bed, but Elon wasn't most people. Sleep could wait. The Mars mission timeline couldn't. Elon inched the car forward as the line moved. His mind drifted back to the Starship prototype. The new heat shield design was giving the team headaches. They'd spent weeks trying to fix the problem, but nothing worked. Tomorrow would be another long day of tests and meetings. "Welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order?" The voice through the speaker pulled Elon back to Earth. "Just a Dave's Double, medium fries, and a Diet Coke," he replied. "That'll be $8.79. Please pull forward." Elon rolled to the first window and handed over a $20 bill. He barely looked up at first, his mind still stuck on the heat shield problem. But something about the cashier's voice made him glance up. That's when time seemed to freeze. Behind the Wendy's counter, wearing a red uniform and a name tag that read Miguel, stood one of the most brilliant minds SpaceX had ever hired. Miguel Rodriguez, MIT graduate, propulsion genius. The man who had fixed the oxygen flow problem on the Falcon Heavy rocket back in 2019. The man who had mysteriously quit SpaceX 18 months ago. Miguel's eyes widened with recognition. "Mr. Musk?" Elon stared, unable to process what he was seeing. Miguel Rodriguez had been on the fast track at SpaceX. His work had saved millions of dollars and months of delays. Everyone had expected him to lead his own team eventually. Now he was handing out burgers at midnight. "Miguel? What on earth are you doing here?" Elon finally managed to ask. Miguel's face flushed red. He looked down at his Wendy's uniform and then back at Elon. "It's complicated, sir." The car behind Elon honked. The drive-thru lane was backing up. "Pull into a parking spot," Elon said. "I'll wait." Miguel nodded. "My break is in 15 minutes. Elon drove to an empty spot near the edge of the lot. He turned off the engine and sat in silence, trying to make sense of what he'd just seen. Miguel Rodriguez had been one of SpaceX's rising stars. His designs for the Merlin engine improvements had been brilliant. He understood rocket science, at a level few others did, and now he was working the night shift at a fast food restaurant less than 2 miles from the SpaceX factory. Elon pulled out his phone and searched for Miguel's employee file. The record simply showed that Miguel had resigned suddenly, giving only 24 hours' notice. No exit interview, no explanation. He had simply disappeared. The personnel note read, "Employee cited personal reasons for departure. Did not wish to elaborate." Elon frowned. That wasn't the Miguel he knew. The young engineer had been passionate about space travel. He'd once told Elon that working at SpaceX was his dream job. People with that kind of fire don't just walk away to flip burgers. Something wasn't right. 15 minutes later, Miguel walked out of the restaurant's side door. He had removed his Wendy's hat, but still wore the uniform. He approached Elon's car cautiously, like someone expecting bad news. Elon got out to meet him. "I didn't think you'd remember me," Miguel said quietly. "Remember you?" Elon raised his eyebrows. "Your oxygen flow fix saved the Falcon Heavy mission. Of course I remember you." Miguel smiled slightly, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "That seems like another lifetime ago." "What happened, Miguel?" "One day, you were redesigning propulsion systems. The next, you were just gone." Miguel looked away, staring at the empty street beyond the parking lot. "My mother in Mexico got sick. Cancer. I needed to go home." "I'm sorry to hear that. But why didn't you ask for leave? We would have worked something out." "It was complicated." Miguel's voice dropped. "The treatments were expensive, very expensive, and my little sister was still in college. When I got back to the States, I needed money fast. This job had night shifts available, so—" He gestured at his uniform. Elon studied Miguel's face. The young engineer looked thinner than before. Tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. "Come back to SpaceX," Elon said simply. "We can start you Monday." Miguel's reaction wasn't what Elon expected. Instead of relief or gratitude, Miguel looked afraid. I don't know if that's possible now," he stammered. "What do you mean? Your position hasn't been completely filled. We've had trouble finding someone with your skills." "It's not that simple." Miguel glanced over his shoulder, as if checking to see if anyone was listening. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Musk. I really do. But I need some time to think about it." Elon frowned. None of this made sense. Why would a brilliant engineer hesitate to leave a minimum-wage job? "Take my number," Elon said, handing Miguel a business card with his personal cell written on the back. "Call me when you're ready." "Day or night?" Miguel took the card, his hand shaking slightly. "Thank you." "Are you in some kind of trouble, Miguel?" For a moment, it looked like Miguel might say more, but then his expression closed off. "I should get back inside before my manager notices I'm gone." As Miguel walked back to the restaurant, Elon had the strange feeling he was watching two different people. One was the confident engineer who had once redesigned rocket engines. The other was a scared young man holding secrets. Elon got back in his car, but didn't start the engine immediately. Something about this situation felt wrong. Very wrong. Why would a top engineer suddenly quit, disappear, and then turn up at a fast food restaurant near his old workplace? And why would he hesitate when offered his old job back? As Elon finally drove away, one thought kept circling in his mind. Miguel Rodriguez was hiding something, and Elon Musk was going to find out what it was. Elon couldn't sleep that night. The image of Miguel in a Wendy's uniform kept pushing away thoughts of rockets and Mars. By 6 a.m., he was already back at SpaceX headquarters, his fingers flying over his keyboard. "Miguel Rodriguez," he typed into the employee database. The screen filled with Miguel's impressive history. Graduated top of his class from MIT, master's degree from Caltech. Joined SpaceX 5 years ago as an entry-level engineer. Quickly promoted twice. Elon clicked on Miguel's project history. The young engineer had worked on some of SpaceX's most important missions: Falcon 9 engine improvements, Dragon capsule life support systems, and most recently, something called Project Starlink Plus. Elon frowned. Starlink Plus was classified. Only a handful of engineers had access to the plans for the next generation of SpaceX's satellite network. Miguel had been one of them. "Morning, boss," said a voice from the doorway. "You're in early." Elon looked up to see Grace Chen, his head of engineering. "Do you remember Miguel Rodriguez?" Elon asked. Grace's expression changed. "Of course. Brilliant kid. Such a shame when he left." "Did he ever say why?" Grace leaned against the doorframe. "Not really. It was so sudden. One day he was fine. The next he handed in his resignation letter. Said it was a family emergency." "Did you believe him?" Grace hesitated. "I didn't have a reason not to, but—" "But what?" It was strange timing. He had just made a breakthrough on the Starlink Plus signal encryption. He was excited about it. Then, the very next day, he quit. It didn't make sense. Elon swiveled his chair to face the window. The morning sun was just starting to light up the SpaceX rocket garden outside. "I saw him last night," Elon said quietly. "Miguel? Where?" "Working at the Wendy's down the street." Grace's eyes widened. "You're kidding." "I wish I was." Elon turned back to his computer. "Something doesn't add up. He said his mother got sick in Mexico. That he needed money fast when he got back." "That doesn't sound like Miguel," Grace said. "He made good money here. And he was single, lived simply. He should have had savings." Elon nodded. "My thoughts exactly." "What are you thinking, boss?" Grace asked. Elon closed Miguel's file. "I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to find out." Later that afternoon, Elon visited the small apartment complex in Inglewood where Miguel lived. The building was clean but basic. Not where you'd expect to find someone with Miguel's education and skills. Elon's parked across the street and waited. At 4:30 p.m., Miguel appeared, walking quickly toward the building. He wore jeans and a plain blue t-shirt, looking more like the engineer Elon remembered. Elon got out of his car. "Miguel!" Miguel froze, then slowly turned around. "Mr. Musk? What are you doing here?" "I thought we should talk more," Elon said, walking toward him. "Somewhere more private than a Wendy's parking lot." Miguel glanced nervously at his apartment building. "This isn't a good time." "I just have a few questions," Elon said, "about why one of the brightest engineers I've ever hired is working fast food instead of designing rockets." Miguel's shoulders slumped. "You won't let this go, will you?" "Not a chance," Elon said with a small smile. Miguel sighed. "Fine, but not in my apartment. There's a coffee shop around the corner." 10 minutes later, they sat in a quiet corner of a small cafe. Miguel stared into his coffee cup as if it might offer answers. "Tell me about your mother," Elon said gently. Miguel looked up, surprised. "My mother? You said she had cancer. That's why you left SpaceX." "Oh, yes." Miguel took a sip of his coffee. "Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4 when they found it." "I'm sorry," Elon said. "How is she now?" A shadow crossed Miguel's face. She died 3 months ago." "I'm very sorry to hear that," Elon said. "Is that why you came back to California?" Miguel nodded. "There was nothing left for me in Mexico after that." "And your sister?" "You mentioned. She was in college. She's at UNAM, the National University in Mexico City. Still has a year to go." Elon watched Miguel carefully. His answers seemed genuine. The pain in his eyes when he mentioned his mother looked real. "Miguel," Elon said, leaning forward, "you were one of our best. You had access to classified projects. You were on track for a leadership position. Then you suddenly disappeared. Now I find you working minimum wage within walking distance of SpaceX. You have to see why that raises questions." Miguel's hands tightened around his coffee cup. I know how it looks. Then help me understand. Because right now, my security team would say you're a potential risk. Miguel's head snapped up. Security? Risk? What are you talking about? You had access to Starlink Plus, Miguel. That's sensitive technology. And your departure was unusual. You think I'm some kind of spy? Miguel's voice rose slightly. I don't know what to think, Elon said honestly. That's why I'm here, talking to you directly. Miguel pushed his coffee away. I left because my mother was dying. I used all my savings for her treatments. I took the Wendy's job because it was available and I needed money fast. That's the whole story. Why not come back to SpaceX? Why hesitate when I offered you your job back? Miguel looked away. It's complicated. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. Miguel stood up. I appreciate your concern, Mr. Musk, and the job offer, but I need to think about it. Elon didn't move. Did you know there's a Chinese aerospace company called Blue Star that's suddenly working on satellite technology very similar to our Starlink Plus designs? Miguel went pale. What are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything, Elon said calmly. I'm just sharing an interesting coincidence. I would never. Miguel started, then stopped. He took a deep breath. I need to go. Elon handed him a business card. My personal email is on the back. When you're ready to tell me the whole story, use it. Miguel took the card, his hand trembling slightly. You won't believe me anyway. Try me, Elon said. I've heard some pretty unbelievable things in my time. Miguel slipped the card into his pocket. Goodbye, Mr. Musk. As Miguel walked away, Elon pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Sarah? It's Elon. I need you to look into someone for me. Quietly. His name is Miguel Rodriguez. Elon watched Miguel disappear around the corner. And I need you to find out everything you can about his activities over the past 18 months. Elon ended the call, still watching the empty sidewalk where Miguel had been. The brilliant engineer was definitely hiding something. And whatever it was, Elon had a feeling it was bigger than a sick mother or money problems. Much bigger. Sarah Chen called Elon back 3 days later. I've got something on Rodriguez, she said without greeting. Sarah wasn't one to waste time. Go ahead, Elon said, stepping away from the SpaceX test bay, where engineers were working on the new heat shield. His story checks out, mostly, Sarah said. His mother, Elena Rodriguez, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 18 months ago. She died 3 months ago in Mexico City. So he was telling the truth, Elon said. About that part, yes, but there's more. Sarah paused. He's been sending most of his Wendy's paychecks to Mexico, not to his sister directly, but to a special account at Universidad Nacional. Her tuition? Exactly. But here's the strange part. I checked his bank records from before he left SpaceX. He had almost $200,000 in savings. It vanished within 2 months of his resignation. Elon frowned. Medical bills? Some of it, yes. The best cancer hospital in Mexico City shows payments from Miguel. But that doesn't explain all of it. At least $50,000 is unaccounted for. What else did you find? He makes one call to Mexico City every Sunday evening. Same number. His sister, most likely. Anything suspicious? Elon asked. Sarah hesitated. Not exactly suspicious, but odd. He visits the public library 3 times a week to use their computers, always for exactly 45 minutes. What's he doing there? I don't know yet. The library has privacy screens on the computers. Elon thought for a moment. Keep watching him. I want to know what he's doing at that library. There's one more thing, Sarah said. 2 days ago, he met with a man named Victor Zhao at a park. In Manhattan Beach? Who's Victor Zhao? He works for Blue Star Aerospace in Beijing. He's officially their head of international relations, but intelligence sources say he recruits tech talent. And sometimes, other things. Elon's grip tightened on his phone. You think Miguel is selling secrets? I think it's worth looking into, Sarah said carefully. The timing matches. Blue Star announced their new satellite program 4 months after Miguel left SpaceX. Keep following him, Elon said. I want to know everywhere he goes, everyone he talks to, especially this Zhao character. Will do, Sarah replied. Want me to alert the FBI? Elon thought about Miguel's face when he mentioned his mother. The pain had seemed real. Not yet, Elon said. I want to be sure. A week later, Elon pulled into the Wendy's parking lot again. It was just after 11 p.m. near the end of Miguel's shift. Elon waited in his car, watching the restaurant's side door. At 11:45 p.m., Miguel walked out, looking tired. When he spotted Elon's Tesla, he stopped for a moment, then slowly walked over. Mr. Musk, he said, I should have expected you would be back. Get in, Elon said, unlocking the passenger door. Let's take a drive. Miguel hesitated, then climbed into the car. Where? Are we going? Nowhere in particular, Elon said, pulling onto the main road. I just want to talk without being interrupted. They drove in silence for several minutes. The streets of Hawthorne were nearly empty this late at night. I know about your mother, Elon finally said. I'm sorry for your loss. Miguel looked out the window. Thank you. I also know about your sister's tuition payments. That's honorable. Miguel said nothing. But there are some things I still don't understand, Elon continued. Like what happened to your savings, or why you meet with Victor Zhao. Miguel's head snapped toward Elon. You've been watching me? Of course I have, Elon said calmly. You had access to classified technology. You left suddenly. Now you're meeting with a representative of a Chinese aerospace company that's working on technology, suspiciously similar to ours. What would you do in my position? Miguel's face paled. It's not what you think. Then, tell me what it is, Elon said, stopping the car at a quiet lookout point above the city. The lights of Los Angeles spread out below them like a field of stars. Miguel stared at his hands. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. When my mother got sick, I went home right away. The doctors in Mexico City said she needed a special treatment. Very expensive. Not covered by insurance. You used your savings, Elon said. Miguel nodded. All of it. But it wasn't enough. She needed more treatments. My sister was about to drop out of university to work. I couldn't let that happen. It was our mother's dream to see her graduate. So you contacted Zhao? No. Miguel shook his head firmly. He contacted me. Somehow, he knew about my situation. He approached me outside the hospital in Mexico City. Said he represented people who would pay well for information about SpaceX's satellite program. And you agreed? Elon's voice hardened. Not at first, Miguel said quickly. I told him no, but then the doctor said there was one more treatment they could try. Very expensive. And my mother was getting worse. Miguel's voice cracked. I was desperate. So you sold Starlink plus secrets. Miguel looked directly at Elon. No, never. I would never betray SpaceX that way. Then, what did you give Zhao? Old designs, Miguel said. Early prototypes that were already rejected. things that looked advanced but wouldn't actually work. I figured by the time they realized it, my mother's treatment would be paid for. Elon studied Miguel's face, looking for signs of deception. You expect me to believe that? It's the truth, Miguel insisted. Check the files they're using. You'll see. And you're still meeting with Zhao because… Miguel looked away. He wants more. He says what I gave him was useless. He wants the real designs. Or else what? Or else he tells everyone what I did. Miguel's voice was hollow. He has recordings of our meetings. I'd go to prison. My sister would lose everything. Elon sat back, processing this information. If Miguel was telling the truth, he hadn't actually given away any valuable secrets. But he had crossed a line. A serious one. Why didn't you come to me? Elon asked. When your mother got sick. We could have helped. Would you have given me $200,000 for experimental cancer treatments in Mexico? Miguel asked bitterly. For my mother, who you'd never met? Elon didn't answer. The truth was, he probably wouldn't have. Not back then. Miguel stared out at the city lights. I made a mistake. I know that. But I never gave away anything that would actually work. I swear it. Elon turned to face Miguel fully. I'm going to offer you your job back one more time. But there are conditions. Miguel looked up, surprise written across his face. What? You'll work with our security team. Tell them everything about Zhao. Every meeting. Every conversation. You'll help us track what information they think they have. And then what? And then we feed them more bad information. Make them waste time and resources on designs that will never fly. Elon smiled slightly. Beat them at their own game. Miguel stared at Elon. You're not turning me in to the FBI? That depends on you, Elon said. Help us understand exactly what Zhao is after, help us protect our technology, and maybe we can work something out. Why would you do this? Miguel asked. Why not just report me? Because good engineers are hard to find, Elon said simply. And because I believe you when you say you didn't give away anything valuable. Miguel looked down at his Wendy's uniform, then back at Elon. What about my sister? SpaceX will cover her remaining tuition. Consider it an advance on your salary. Tears welled in Miguel's eyes. I don't deserve a second chance. Probably not, Elon agreed. But I'm giving you one anyway. Don't waste it. Miguel wiped his eyes. I won't. I promise. Elon started the car. First thing tomorrow, 8 a.m. You'll meet with our security team. Tell them everything. As they drove back toward Wendy's, Miguel seemed lost in thought. Finally, he spoke. Mr. Musk. Yes? There's something else you should know about Zhao. Something important. Elon glanced at him. What's that? He's not just interested in Starlink Plus, Miguel said quietly. He kept asking questions about something, called Project Boomerang. I don't have clearance for that project. I don't even know what it is. Elon's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Project Boomerang was SpaceX's most secret program. A revolutionary propulsion system that could change space travel forever, and almost no one was supposed to know it existed. That, Elon said, is very interesting indeed. Elon called Sarah Chen at 6 a.m. the next morning. I need everything we have on Victor Zhao, he said without preamble. And I want to know how he learned about Project Boomerang. Project Boomerang? Sarah sounded surprised. How did this come up? Miguel says Zhao asked about it specifically. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. That's concerning. Very few people know that name. Exactly. Elon said. "We may have a bigger problem than we thought." "I'll dig deeper into Zhao," Sarah promised. "And I'll check our internal security logs." "Good. Miguel's coming in at 8 a.m. I want you there." "Will do," Sarah said. "Do you trust him?" Elon looked out his office window at the SpaceX rocket garden. The morning sun gleamed off the tall metal tubes that had changed the history of space travel. "I'm not sure," he admitted, "but I think he can help us find out who we can't trust." At precisely 8 a.m., Miguel walked through the front door of SpaceX headquarters. He wore a clean button-down shirt and khaki pants, a far cry from his Wendy's uniform. Several employees did double takes as they recognized him. Grace Chen met him in the lobby. "Welcome back," she said, handing him a visitor badge. "For now," Miguel nodded, understanding the message. This wasn't a real return yet. He was still on probation. Grace led him to a small conference room where Elon and Sarah waited. Sarah Chen was not what Miguel had expected. She was younger than he imagined a top security consultant would be, maybe in her mid-30s, with sharp eyes that seemed to look right through him. "Mr. Rodriguez," she said, extending her hand, "I've heard a lot about you." "I'm sure you have," Miguel replied quietly. "Have a seat," Elon said, gesturing to a chair across from them. "We have a lot to discuss." Miguel sat down, his back straight, hands folded on the table. "Where would you like me to start?" "From the beginning," Sarah said, opening a laptop. "Every contact with Zhao. Every detail you can remember." Miguel took a deep breath. The first time was in Mexico City, outside the Hospital Angeles. About a week after I arrived there with my mother. For the next hour, Miguel talked. He described how Zhao had approached him, seemingly knowing exactly who he was and what he was going through. The first meeting had been sympathetic, friendly, even. Zhao had talked about his own mother's cancer battle. Only later did he mention his interest in SpaceX technology. He didn't ask for anything classified at first, Miguel explained. Just general information about how things worked at SpaceX, the company culture, who made which decisions. "And you told him?" Sarah asked, typing notes. "Yes," Miguel admitted. "It didn't seem harmful, just conversation." "When did it change?" Elon asked. "After my mother's second round of treatment failed. The doctor said there was an experimental option, but it cost more than I had left. That's when Zhao made his offer." Sarah looked up from her computer. "What exactly did he want?" "Detailed specs on the Starlink Plus satellite array. Signal protocols, encryption methods, orbital positioning systems." "And what did you give him?" Miguel looked Elon in the eye. "Old designs, like I told Mr. Musk. Things that looked legitimate but wouldn't actually work. Early prototypes we'd already abandoned." "Did he believe you?" Sarah asked. "At first, yes. He paid me $50,000. Miguel's voice grew softer. "It went straight to the hospital." "When did he realize the designs were useless?" Elon asked. "About 3 months ago, right after my mother died." Miguel's face darkened. He was angry. Said his technical team had tried to implement the designs, and they were worthless. "What did he want then?" "The real designs. He threatened to expose me if I didn't deliver." Sarah leaned forward. "And that's when he started asking about Project Boomerang?" Miguel nodded. "Yes. He said if I couldn't get the Starlink Plus information, maybe I could find out about something called Boomerang. Said it would be even more valuable." Elon and Sarah exchanged glances. "How did you respond?" Elon asked. "I told him I'd never heard of it, that it must be classified above my level." Miguel shrugged. "That was the truth." "Did he believe you?" "I don't think so. He keeps pushing. That's what our meetings are about now. He thinks I'm stalling." Sarah closed her laptop. We need to know how Zhao learned about Project Boomerang. It's one of our most classified programs. Could he have another source inside SpaceX? Miguel asked. The room went quiet as the implications sank in. It's possible, Elon finally said, which is why we need your help. What do you want me to do? Miguel asked. Keep meeting with Zhao, Sarah said. Act like you're trying to get information. We'll give you some bait to feed him. More fake designs? Miguel asked. No, Elon said. Better than that. Real-looking data that contains hidden trackers. When they try to use it, we'll know exactly what they're doing and where. Miguel looked, uncertain. Won't they realize it's a trap? Not if you sell it properly, Sarah said. You'll need to make Zhao believe you're genuinely trying to help him now. In the meantime, Elon added, we'll be investigating how Zhao learned about Project Boomerang. And who else might be talking to him? Miguel nodded slowly. When do we start? Right now, Sarah said, sliding a small device across the table. This looks like a normal key fob, but it's actually a recording device. Carry it with you at all times. Miguel picked up the device. It looked like an ordinary car key. Your next meeting with Zhao is scheduled for Friday at the park, correct? Sarah asked. Miguel looked surprised. Yes. How did you? We've been watching you, Sarah reminded him. From now on, we'll be listening too. Later that afternoon, Elon sat alone in his office reviewing Project Boomerang files. The propulsion system was revolutionary, a plasma-based engine that could dramatically cut travel time to Mars. Only 12 people at SpaceX had full clearance to know about it. One of them was talking to the Chinese. A knock at his door pulled him from his thoughts. Grace Chen entered, carrying a tablet. You wanted the security access logs for the Boomerang server, she said, handing him the tablet. Elon scrolled through the list of names and timestamps. Everyone who had accessed the files in the past 6 months. This can't be right, he muttered. What's wrong? Grace asked. Elon pointed to a name on the list. Davidson accessed the files at 2 a.m. last Tuesday. He was in Florida at the Cape that day. Grace frowned. Someone used his credentials? Looks that way. Elon continued scrolling. And here, Martinez, viewing files on a Sunday when I know she was on vacation in Hawaii. A security breach, Grace said quietly. A significant one. Elon set down the tablet. Someone's been using other people's login credentials to access our most sensitive project. What do we do? Elon's expression hardened. We don't do anything yet. We watch. Set up a silent alert that notifies only you and me when anyone accesses those files, but don't change any security protocols yet. I don't want to tip them off, Grace nodded. And, Miguel, do you really trust him to work with Sarah on this? We don't have much choice, Elon said. He's our connection to Zhao. But what if he's playing both sides? What if this whole story about giving Zhao useless designs is just a cover? Elon considered this. It's possible, but I don't think so. Why not? Because if Miguel was really working for the Chinese, he wouldn't be flipping burgers at Wendy's, Elon said simply. He'd have disappeared to Beijing with a new identity and a fat bank account. Grace smiled slightly. Good point. Still, Elon added, keep an eye on him. Trust, but verify. After Grace left, Elon turned to look out his window at the SpaceX factory floor below. Somewhere in this building, someone was stealing secrets that could change the future of space travel. Someone with high-level access. Someone trusted. And Elon was going to find out who it was, no matter what it took. Miguel returned to his small apartment that evening, exhausted. The day at SpaceX had been intense. Hours of questioning, planning, and explaining. It felt strange to be back in the building, seeing familiar faces, some welcoming, others suspicious. He unlocked his door and stepped inside. The apartment was clean but sparse. A second-hand couch, a small TV, a table with 2 chairs. Not much to show for an MIT graduate who had once designed rocket engines. Miguel dropped his keys on the table and sank onto the couch. The recording device Sarah had given him sat heavily in his pocket. He placed it on the coffee table and stared at it. His phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. Dinner tomorrow? Same place. 7 p.m. Victor Zhao, Miguel's stomach tightened. He had expected their next meeting to be Friday at the park, not tomorrow at a restaurant. Was Zhao suspicious already? He texted back a single word. Confirmed. Then he picked up the recording device and pressed the small button on its side, just as Sarah had shown him. Zhao texted, he said clearly. Dinner tomorrow night at 7. Our usual place is Mama Rosa's Italian restaurant in Manhattan Beach. I'll be there. He pressed the button again, ending the recording. The message would automatically upload to Sarah's secure server. Miguel walked to his bedroom and opened the closet. Behind his clothes, he carefully removed a loose panel in the wall. Inside was a metal box. He took it out, unlocked it, and removed a small notebook. 2 years of notes on his meetings with Zhao. Everything the Chinese agent had asked for, everything Miguel had given him. It was his insurance policy, his proof that he had never shared anything that would actually work. His phone rang. His sister, Lucia. Hola, hermano, she said when he answered. Her voice was warm, familiar. The only piece of home he had left. Hola, Lucia. How are your classes? Miguel tried to sound normal. Good. I got an A on my biology exam. She paused. Are you okay? You sound tired. Just a long day, he said, not mentioning that he'd spent it at SpaceX instead of Wendy's. How's the apartment? It's perfect. Thank you again for helping with the rent. Miguel closed his eyes. His sister's apartment in Mexico City was small, but in a safe neighborhood near the university. His Wendy's paychecks barely covered it, but he'd never missed a payment. That's what brothers are for, he said. They talked for a few more minutes. Her classes, her friends, normal things. No mention of their mother. The wound was still too fresh for both of them. When they hung up, Miguel returned to his metal box. Behind the notebook was a photograph of his mother, taken before she got sick. Elena Rodriguez stood in their family's small garden in Mexico City, smiling at the camera, her eyes bright with life. I did it for you, Miguel whispered to the photo. Everything I did. But as he put the photo away, he wondered if that was really true. Had he betrayed SpaceX for his mother? Or had he also done it for himself, for the money, for the feeling of importance that came from playing both sides? The truth was more complicated than the story he'd told Elon. Across town, Sarah Chen sat in her darkened office, reviewing everything they knew about Victor Zhao. His employment records showed he'd worked for Blue Star Aerospace for 7 years. Before that, there was a suspicious 5-year gap in his history. Intelligence training, Sarah muttered to herself. The pattern was familiar. Chinese intelligence often placed operatives in technology companies after extensive preparation. Sarah's computer pinged with an alert. Miguel's recording had arrived. She played it, noting the change in Zhao's meeting pattern. He's getting nervous, she said, picking up her phone to call Elon. The next evening, Miguel entered Mama Rosa's restaurant at exactly 7 p.m. The small Italian place was busy, tables filled, with couples and families enjoying pasta and wine. Victor Zhao waited at a corner table, a glass of red wine already in front of him. He was a handsome man in his 40s, always impeccably dressed in tailored suits. Tonight, he wore a navy blue, one with a silver tie. "Miguel," he said, rising slightly as Miguel approached. "Thank you for coming on such short notice." Miguel sat down across from him. "You changed our plans." "Circumstances change," Zhao said smoothly. "Wine?" "No, thank you." A waiter appeared. Miguel ordered water and spaghetti he knew he wouldn't eat. His stomach was too tight with tension. "How is your sister?" Zhao asked when the waiter left. "She's fine." Miguel hated how Zhao always brought up Lucia. It was a reminder that the Chinese agent knew exactly how to pressure him. "Good, good." Zhao sipped his wine. "I have news from Beijing. My superiors are growing impatient. They want results. I told you, I don't have access to Project Boomerang." "Then get access," Zhao said, his voice hardening slightly. "Or find someone who has it." Miguel frowned. "That's not what we agreed to. I was supposed to help with Starlink Plus." "Plans change, my friend." Zhao smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "We need Boomerang now." "Why?" "That's not your concern." The waiter returned with Miguel's water and Zhao's appetizer. They sat in silence until he left again. "Victor, I can't just walk into SpaceX and start asking questions about a classified project," Miguel said quietly. "I don't work there anymore, remember?" Zhao studied him for a long moment. "But you've been there recently, haven't you?" Miguel's blood ran cold. "What?" "You visited SpaceX headquarters yesterday. Spent the whole day there." Zhao's smile was gone now. "Did you think we wouldn't?" "No?" Miguel's mind raced. How had Zhao found out? Was he being followed? "I had an interview," Miguel said, the lie coming quickly. "They contacted me about coming back." "Did they?" Zhao leaned forward. "And what did you tell them about your sudden departure 18 months ago? Family emergency? My mother's illness? Nothing about our arrangement?" "Of course not." Zhao sat back, studying Miguel's face. "I hope that's true. For your sister's sake." The threat was clear. "I'd never expose our arrangement," Miguel said. "It would destroy me too." Zhao nodded slowly. "Your spaghetti is getting cold." Miguel forced himself to take a bite, though it tasted like nothing. "Here's what's going to happen," Zhao said. "You're going to accept the job at SpaceX. You're going to find a way to access Project Boomerang. And you're going to bring me what we need. And if I can't, then the recordings of our previous meetings find their way to the FBI." Zhao smiled again. "Along with bank records showing the money transfer." Miguel set down his fork. "You're asking the impossible." "I'm asking for what I paid for," Zhao replied. "Consider it the rest of your mother's debt." They finished the meal in tense silence. When the check came, Zhao paid in cash. "1 week," he said, as they walked out of the restaurant. "I want progress." "In 1 week." "I'll try," Miguel said. "Don't try. Do it." Zhao straightened his already perfect tie. "Oh, and, Miguel, if you're thinking of running to Elon Musk with this conversation, remember, we're not the only ones with people inside SpaceX." Miguel froze. "What do you mean?" "You're not my only source of information," Zhao said simply. "Remember that." As Zhao walked away toward his car, Miguel stood still on the sidewalk, the cool evening air doing nothing to calm the panic rising in his chest. Someone else inside SpaceX was working with Zhao. Someone with higher clearance than Miguel had ever had. He had to warn Elon. But how could he do that without revealing that he had kept parts of his story secret? He had told Elon that he'd only shared useless designs with Zhao. He hadn't mentioned the money transfer or the recordings Zhao had of their meetings. Miguel fingered the key fob recorder in his pocket. Sarah would have heard everything. His partial confession to Elon, his omissions, and now Zhao's revelation about another mole. His two lives were colliding, and he wasn't sure he would survive the crash. Miguel didn't go home after the dinner with Zhao. Instead, he drove to a quiet beach in Manhattan Beach, parked his car, and walked along the shore. The waves crashed rhythmically against the sand as he tried to clear his head. He had three problems. First, Zhao knew he'd been to SpaceX. Second, Zhao claimed to have another source inside the company. And third, Miguel hadn't told Elon everything about his arrangement with Zhao. The recording device felt heavy in his pocket. Sarah would have heard it all by now. His partial truths would be exposed. After an hour of walking, Miguel made his decision. He pulled out his phone and called the ECU number Elon had given him. "Mr. Musk? It's Miguel. We need to talk. Tonight." 2 hours later, Miguel sat in Elon's home office in Bel Air. The room was surprisingly simple. A large desk, bookshelves filled with science and engineering texts, and a few rocket models. Nothing flashy or extravagant. Sarah Chen sat in a chair, by the window, her face unreadable. Elon stood by his desk, arms crossed. "We heard the recording," Elon said without preamble. "Zhao has another source inside SpaceX." Miguel nodded. "That's what he claims." "And you didn't tell us everything about your arrangement with him," Sarah added. Miguel looked down at his hands. "No, I didn't." "Why not?" Elon asked. "I was afraid," Miguel admitted. "The money transfer, the recordings he has, they make me look guilty. I thought if I told you everything, you'd just turn me over to the FBI." "We still might," Sarah said. "I know." Miguel looked up at them. But now Zhao is pushing harder. He wants information on Project Boomerang within a week. And he threatened my sister. Elon paced across the room. "This changes things. If Zhao has another source, we're dealing with a more sophisticated operation than we thought." "What do you want me to do?" Miguel asked. "Tell us everything," Elon said. "The complete truth this time." Miguel took a deep breath and started talking. The full story was worse than what he'd already shared. Zhao had paid him a total of $75,000, not just the $50,000 he'd mentioned. The Chinese agent had recordings of 3 separate meetings where Miguel had agreed to share information, and Zhao had contacted Miguel twice while his mother was still alive, suggesting that if she didn't survive, Lucia might have a fatal accident, too. "He owns me," Miguel finished quietly. "Or he thinks he does." Sarah had been typing notes throughout his confession. "This is enough to put you in prison for a long time," she said bluntly. "I know, but it might also be enough to catch Zhao, and whoever else is working with him," Elon said thoughtfully, "if we play this right." "What do you mean?" Miguel asked. "I mean, we're going to give Zhao exactly what he wants," Elon said. "Access to Project Boomerang." Sarah looked alarmed. "Elon, that's too risky." "Not real access," Elon clarified. "We're going to create a special version just for him, one that contains trackers embedded in the code. When they try to use it, we'll know exactly where they are and what they're doing. And we'll find out who else is helping them," Sarah added, understanding now. "Exactly." Elon turned to Miguel. "But for this to work, you have to follow our instructions exactly. No more secrets. No side deals." "I understand," Miguel said solemnly. "Good." Elon sat down across from him. "First things first. You're officially rehired at SpaceX, starting tomorrow." Miguel looked surprised. "After everything I just told you?" "We need you inside, with a legitimate reason to be there," Elon explained. "Your old security clearance will be reactivated, with some hidden limitations that only Sarah and I will know about." What about Zhao? Miguel asked. What do I tell him? You tell him you've been rehired, Sarah said. That you're working on getting access to Project Boomerang. He'll believe that because it's actually happening. Meanwhile, Elon continued, we'll be watching every move, every file access, every communication in the building. Whoever Zhao's other source is, they'll have to make contact eventually. And what about my sister? Miguel asked. Zhao made it clear he knows where she lives. Elon and Sarah exchanged glances. We'll bring her here, Elon decided. To the U.S. Tell her there's a study opportunity or something. The important thing is to get her somewhere safe before Zhao realizes what we're doing. Miguel felt a wave of relief. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Elon said grimly. You're still in serious trouble, Miguel. The only reason you're not in FBI custody right now is because we need you to help catch the bigger fish. I understand. Do you? Sarah asked. Because once this is over, there will be consequences. The best you can hope for is a plea deal. Miguel nodded slowly. I know what I did. I'm ready to face whatever comes next. Elon studied him for a long moment. I believe you. But just to be safe, Sarah will be your shadow from now on. Where you go, she goes. What you see, she sees. 4 to 7. Surveillance, Sarah clarified, including a tracking device. Miguel didn't protest. He'd expected nothing less. What about tonight? He asked. Zhao will be watching my apartment. You're not going back there, Elon said. We've already sent a team to collect your essential items. You'll stay in a secure location from now on. Miguel thought about his metal box hidden in the wall, his notes on Zhao, his mother's photograph. There's something behind the wall panel in my bedroom closet. A metal box. I need it. We'll find it, Sarah assured him. As if on cue, Elon's phone buzzed. He checked the message. Your sister just boarded a private flight from Mexico City. She'll be in Los Angeles by morning. Miguel's eyes widened. How did you arrange that so quickly? Elon smiled slightly. I know people. What did you tell her? That her brother got her a scholarship to UCLA. A full ride, plus living expenses. She was surprised, but excited. Miguel felt tears threatening. His sister would be safe. Thank you. Thank me by helping us catch Zhao and his network, Elon said, his voice turning serious again. Starting tomorrow, you're our bait. The next morning, Miguel walked through the SpaceX main entrance, escorted by Sarah Chen. He wore his old SpaceX badge, newly reactivated. Several employees stared as he passed. News traveled fast at SpaceX. Everyone would soon know that Miguel Rodriguez, who had mysteriously disappeared 18 months ago, was back. Grace Chen met them on the engineering floor. Your old workstation is ready, she told Miguel. Same login, same password. Thanks, Miguel said, feeling strange to be back at his old desk. We've arranged Level 3 access to the Boomerang server, Grace continued, giving Miguel a significant look. Just enough to see the basic framework, but nothing sensitive. Miguel understood. This was the bait for Zhao. Got it. I'll be at the desk right next to yours, Sarah added. My cover is that I'm auditing the security protocols for all classified projects. The trap was set. Now, they just needed to wait for someone to take the bait. Throughout the day, Miguel settled back into his old routine. He reviewed current projects, caught up on advancements he'd missed, and carefully examined the limited Boomerang files he could access. They contained just enough real information to seem legitimate, mixed with carefully crafted fake data that contained hidden digital watermarks. By late afternoon, several colleagues had cautiously approached to welcome him back. Some seemed genuinely glad to see him. Others were clearly suspicious. "Don't worry about them," Sarah said, when a group of engineers walked past, whispering, "Just focus on the job." Miguel nodded, but it was hard to ignore the stares and murmurs. Everyone was wondering why he had left and why he was back. At 5 p.m., as most employees were preparing to leave, Miguel's phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Progress? Zhao was getting impatient. Miguel showed the message to Sarah. She nodded. "Tell him you've been reinstated with partial access, that you're working on getting more." Miguel typed the response and hit send. Almost immediately, the reply came, "Good. Update me tomorrow. Same place, 7 p.m. He wants to meet tomorrow night," Miguel told Sarah. "At Mama Rosa's again." "Perfect," Sarah said. "By then, we'll have something for you to give him." As they left the building together, Miguel felt both dread and determination. The wheels were in motion now. There was no turning back. "We'll catch him, Miguel," Sarah said, sensing his tension. "It's not just Zhao I'm worried about," Miguel replied. "It's whoever else is helping him inside SpaceX. What if they realize what we're doing?" Sarah's expression hardened. "That's why we need to work fast, before they figure out that the hunter has become the hunted." That night, Miguel stayed in a small but comfortable safe house in Venice Beach. The modest bungalow looked ordinary from the outside, but Sarah assured him it had state-of-the-art security systems. "There are panic buttons in every room," she explained, showing him around. "Press 1, and a response team will be here in under 5 minutes." Miguel nodded, trying to absorb everything. Just 24 hours ago, he had been an ex-engineer, working at Wendy's. Now he was bait in a high-stakes espionage operation. His phone rang. "Lucia. She's in Los Angeles," Sarah said. "You can tell her you're picking her up tomorrow, but don't mention anything else. We don't know if Zhao is monitoring your calls," Miguel answered, working to keep his voice normal. "Lucia, how was your flight?" "Amazing," his sister gushed. "I've never flown on a private plane before. There was real food and everything. But Miguel, this scholarship, I don't understand. I didn't apply for anything at UCLA. I pulled some strings," Miguel said, sticking to the story Elon had created. "One of my old professors has a connection there. They have a special program for international students in biochemistry. But all my credits from UNAM, they'll transfer," Miguel assured her. "Everything's arranged. I'll pick you up tomorrow and explain everything." After they hung up, Miguel sat heavily on the couch. "I hate lying to her." "It's to keep her safe," Sarah reminded him. "I know." Miguel rubbed his eyes. "But it's just one more lie on top of so many others." Sarah's expression softened slightly. "For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing now. Trying to make amends." "Will it be enough?" Miguel asked quietly. Sarah didn't answer. They both knew the truth. No matter how this ended, Miguel would face serious consequences for his actions. The next day at SpaceX was tense. Miguel worked on legitimate engineering tasks while periodically accessing the Boomerang files they'd prepared for Zhao. Sarah remained at the desk beside him, watching everything. At lunch, Grace Chen joined them in the cafeteria. "Any activity on the server?" she asked quietly. Sarah shook her head. "Not yet. But someone's going to get curious soon." "What about the security logs?" Miguel asked. "Any more unauthorized access?" "Nothing obvious," Grace replied. "But we're watching closely." As they were finishing lunch, Miguel noticed a man watching them from across the cafeteria. Dr. Alan Parker, head of the propulsion team and one of the few people with full access to Project Boomerang. "Dr. Parker is staring at us," Miguel whispered, He's been asking questions about why you're back, Grace said. I told him it was on Elon's direct orders. Is he satisfied with that explanation? Grace shrugged. He didn't push further, but he's not the only one wondering. Throughout the afternoon, Miguel felt eyes on him constantly. Colleagues he had once worked closely with now viewed him with suspicion. He couldn't blame them. His sudden departure and equally sudden return would raise questions for anyone. At 4:30 p.m., Elon texted Sarah, "My office, now. Bring him." They found Elon standing at his office window, looking down at the factory floor below. He turned when they entered. "We have movement," he said without preamble. "Someone accessed the fake Boomerang files you viewed this morning, Miguel. They used Dr. Parker's credentials." Miguel's heart raced. "Parker? Is he the mole?" "Not necessarily," Sarah cautioned. "Someone could be using his login, just like they used other credentials before." "Either way, we're getting close," Elon said. "The access happened about 20 minutes after you viewed those files. Someone is definitely watching your activities." "What do we do now?" Miguel asked. "Proceed with the plan," Elon said. "Your meeting with Zhao tonight is our chance to feed him the tracking data. Once he takes it back to his technical team, we'll be able to monitor every system they put it into." "And what about Dr. Parker?" Sarah asked. "Keep watching him," Elon said. "But discreetly. If he is the mole, we don't want to spook him." Miguel glanced at his watch. "I need to pick up Lucia soon. The story is that she's staying at my apartment, but she'll stay at the safe house with you," Elon said. "We've prepared a cover story. She thinks you're subletting from a friend who's out of town. And after I meet Zhao tonight, come straight back to the safe house," Sarah instructed. "No detours, no stops. I'll have a team watching you the entire time, but they'll stay hidden, unless there's trouble." Miguel nodded, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. What if something goes wrong? What if Zhao suspects? "Then we move to extraction. Immediately," Elon said. "Your safety, and your sister's, is the priority." But all three of them knew the stakes were much higher than just Miguel and Lucia's safety. If Zhao and his network got their hands on the real Boomerang technology, they could leapfrog years of research and development. The balance of power in space could shift dramatically. "One more thing," Elon added, opening a drawer in his desk. He removed a small metal case and handed it to Miguel. "The data Zhao wants. It's on this drive." Miguel took the case, surprised by its weight. "This looks very official." "It's supposed to," Sarah explained. "We want Zhao to believe you've brought him something valuable. The drive contains just enough real information to seem legitimate, combined with traceable elements that will lead us to anyone who tries to use it." "Zhao is smart," Miguel warned. "He'll have people check it before he takes it back to China." "They'll find exactly what they expect to find," Elon assured him. "The technical specifics of a revolutionary propulsion system. What they won't find are the digital watermarks and tracking code embedded in the files." Miguel slipped the case into his pocket. "I understand." "Good luck tonight," Elon said. "Remember, we'll be listening through the recording device. If things go south, just say the phrase, 'My sister is waiting,' and we'll move in." 2 hours later, Miguel stood outside the international arrivals area at LAX, scanning the crowd for Lucia. When he spotted her, his heart lightened for the first time in days. At 22, Lucia Rodriguez looked very much like their mother. The same warm brown eyes, the same determined set to her jaw. She carried a backpack and pulled a small suitcase. Behind her, "Miguel!" she called, rushing forward to hug him. Miguel held his sister tight, realizing how much he had missed her. Welcome to Los Angeles. Lucia pulled back, studying his face. You look different. Tired. It's been a busy week, Miguel said, taking her suitcase. Let's get to the apartment. You can rest before dinner. As they drove to the safe house in Venice Beach, Lucia chattered excitedly about her flight and the mysterious scholarship. But I still don't understand, she said finally. Why now? In the middle of the semester? It's a special program, Miguel repeated. They had an opening and needed someone with your qualifications right away. Lucia frowned. And the private plane? Who pays for something like that? The Scholarship Foundation, Miguel lied, hating himself for it. They have corporate sponsors. Lucia didn't look entirely convinced, but she let it drop. Well, I'm just happy to see you. It's been so hard since Mama. Her voice trailed off. Miguel reached over and squeezed her hand. I know. At the safe house, Lucia explored the small bungalow with delight. This is much nicer than your old apartment, she exclaimed. It belongs to a friend, Miguel explained. He's away on business. For a few months? As Lucia unpacked in the second bedroom, Miguel checked his watch. Almost time to meet Zhao. The weight of the data drive in his pocket felt like a stone. Lucia, he called. I have to go out for a while. Work thing. There's food in the fridge, and the TV has streaming services. Lucia appeared in the doorway. Work? I thought you were at Wendy's. Miguel had forgotten that detail in the chaos of the past 2 days. I got a new job, he said quickly. Back in engineering. I'll tell you all about it when I get back. His sister studied his face again, more intently this time. Miguel, what's going on? You're acting strange. Nothing's going on, he insisted. I'm just busy. New job, you arriving. It's a lot at once. You're lying, Lucia said flatly. I can always tell when you're lying. Miguel sighed. She'd always been able to read him too well. It's complicated, Lucia. I promise I'll explain everything later. But right now, I really have to go. Lucia blocked the doorway, arms crossed. No. Tell me what's happening. Why am I really here? Why the private plane? Why the mysterious scholarship I never applied for? Miguel checked his watch again. He was going to be late to meet Zhao. Lucia, please, not now. Yes, now. Her voice was firm, so like their mother's, when she wouldn't take no for an answer. Tell me the truth, Miguel. Looking at his sister's determined face, Miguel faced the dilemma he'd been avoiding. Continue lying to protect her? Or tell her the truth and risk terrifying her? The recording device in his pocket was active. Sarah and the entire team would hear whatever he said next. Time was running out. Zhao was waiting. And Miguel had to choose. Miguel took a deep breath and made his decision. Lucia, you're right. I haven't been honest with you. He gently moved her to the couch. But I can only tell you part of it right now. The rest will have to wait until I get back tonight. Lucia sat down, her eyes fixed on his face. I'm listening. I'm in trouble, Miguel said simply. Serious trouble. And the people I used to work for are helping me fix it. What kind of trouble? Is it about money? The hospital bills for Mama? Miguel nodded. That's part of it. I did something I shouldn't have done, to pay for her treatments. Lucia's eyes widened. Something illegal? Yes, Miguel admitted. And now I'm trying to make it right. That's why you're here, to keep you safe while I fix this mess. Safe from what? Lucia's voice rose. Miguel, you're scaring me. I don't mean to, he said, taking her hands. But you need to understand. Tonight is important. I have to meet someone. When I get back, I promise I'll explain everything. But, please, Lucia. Miguel squeezed her hands. Trust me one more time. Stay. Here! Don't go out. Don't contact anyone from Mexico. Just wait for me. Lucia studied his face, then slowly nodded. Okay. But when you get back, I want the whole truth. You'll get it, Miguel promised, standing up. I shouldn't be more than a couple of hours. As he headed for the door, Lucia called after him. Miguel, be careful. He smiled at his sister. Always. 20 minutes later, Miguel walked into Mama Rosa's restaurant. Zhao was already at their usual corner table, sipping a glass of red wine. You're late, Zhao said, as Miguel sat down. Traffic, Miguel replied. And my sister arrived from Mexico today. Zhao's eyebrows rose slightly. Your sister is here? In Los Angeles? She got a scholarship to UCLA, Miguel said, repeating the cover story. Started suddenly. How fortunate for her, Zhao said, his tone suggesting he didn't believe it for a second. And, convenient timing, Miguel ignored the implication. I have what you asked for. Zhao set down his wine glass. Already? I'm impressed. Don't be, Miguel said. It's only partial access, basic framework and system architecture, not the detailed specs. Show me. Miguel glanced around the restaurant. It was busy, with waiters moving between tables and diners engaged in their own conversations. Not here, he said quietly. Zhao nodded. My car is outside. We can talk there. Miguel had anticipated this. Sarah had warned him that Zhao might want to examine the data immediately. Fine, he agreed, but I can't stay long. I need to get back to my sister. They left the restaurant together. Zhao led the way to a black BMW parked down the street. The windows were tinted dark, making it impossible to see inside. Miguel's heart raced as he approached the car. What if Zhao had people waiting inside? What if this was a trap? But when Zhao opened the passenger door, the car was empty. Miguel slid into the leather seat, reminded of his recent ride in Elon's Tesla. Two very different cars. Two very different men. Zhao got into the driver's seat, but didn't start the engine. Now, what do you have for me? Miguel reached into his pocket and removed the metal case Elon had given him. He handed it to Zhao. Zhao examined the case with interest. SpaceX security is quite thorough. How did you get this out of the building? I have temporary clearance to work from home, Miguel lied, following the script Sarah had prepared. Part of my new contract. Zhao opened the case to reveal a small black USB drive with the SpaceX logo. And this contains the framework for Project Boomerang? The basic architecture, yes. Enough for your people to understand the concept. Zhao turned the drive in his fingers, studying it. You understand I'll need to verify this before payment. Of course, Miguel said. But you should know, this is only level 3 access. To get the full specifications, I'll need more time. How much time? A week, maybe 2. Zhao frowned. My superiors are impatient. This is cutting-edge technology, Miguel said. Security is tight. Pushing too hard will raise suspicions. Zhao considered this, still holding the drive. What about our other friend inside? Can they help? Miguel tensed. This was their chance to learn more about the second spy. Who is it? He asked carefully. Maybe we could coordinate. Zhao smiled thinly. Nice try, Miguel. But you know I can't tell you that. It would make things easier, Miguel pressed. We could work together. No one works together, Zhao said firmly. Compartmentalization is essential in our line of work. Miguel had expected this answer, but it had been worth trying. Then I'll need more time. Zhao slipped the drive into his jacket pocket. You have 1 week for the next level of access. My team will verify this data and let me know if it's useful. It's real, Miguel assured him, but incomplete. For your sake, and your sister's, I hope so. Zhao's tone was light, but the threat was clear. Miguel reached for the door handle, eager to be out of the confined space. I should get back. One moment, Zhao said, placing a hand on Miguel's arm. There's something else we need to discuss. Miguel froze. What? Your meeting with Elon Musk. At his house in Bel Air. Miguel's blood ran cold. How could Zhao possibly know about that? It had been arranged hastily, with no one else involved. I don't know what you're talking about, Miguel said, fighting to keep his voice steady. Please, Zhao sighed. Let's not insult each other's intelligence. You were there 2 nights ago, for several hours. Miguel's mind raced. If Zhao knew about the meeting at Elon's house, what else did he know? Mr. Musk wanted to discuss my return to SpaceX personally, Miguel said, improvising. He had concerns about my sudden departure. I assured him it was only family issues. And he believed you? Zhao asked, his eyes searching Miguel's face. He had no reason not to. Zhao studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I hope you remember where your loyalties lie, Miguel. For your sister's sake. My sister is waiting for me, Miguel said carefully, using the extraction phrase. I need to go. Zhao released his arm. Of course. Give her my best wishes on her scholarship. The implied threat made Miguel's skin crawl. He got out of the car, as calmly as he could, and walked away without looking back. His heart pounded in his chest as he headed toward his own car, parked a block away. Zhao knew too much. About Elon's house, about Lucia's arrival. Someone was feeding him information, in real time, and that someone had to be close to the operation. Sarah was waiting at the safe house when Miguel returned. Her face was tense. We heard everything, she said as soon as he walked in. Zhao knows about the meeting at Elon's. How is that possible? Miguel asked. Only you, me, and Elon knew about it. That's what we need to find out. Sarah looked grim. Elon wants us at SpaceX headquarters immediately. What about Lucia? She's asleep, Sarah said, nodding toward the bedroom. There's a security team outside. She'll be safe. Miguel wrote a quick note for his sister explaining he had to go to work, then followed Sarah to her car. Did Zhao take the bait? He asked. As they drove. Yes. The tracking system is already active. He connected the drive to a laptop in his hotel room 20 minutes ago. That's good, right? It's a start, Sarah said. But with a leak this close to the operation, we need to move faster. Zhao could be tipped off at any moment. When they arrived at SpaceX, the building was mostly empty. It was nearly midnight, with only a skeleton crew of engineers working on urgent projects. Elon was waiting in a conference room with Grace Chen and another man Miguel didn't recognize. This is Agent Thomas Wilson, FBI, Elon introduced the stranger. Given the new developments, I felt it was time to bring in official support. Wilson nodded at Miguel. Mr. Rodriguez, I've been briefed on your situation. Miguel swallowed hard. The FBI was involved now. There would be no walking away from this. Zhao connected the drive, Sarah reported. We're tracking the data now. Good, Elon said. But we have a bigger problem. Someone close to this operation is feeding information to Zhao. It has to be someone with access to our planning, Sarah said. Someone who knew about the meeting at your house. That narrows it down to the people in this room, plus my security team at home, Elon said. I trust everyone here, which leaves my home security. I've already started background checks, Wilson said. We should have results by morning. Miguel cleared his throat. Zhao also knew about my sister arriving today, and the scholarship cover story. Elon's face darkened. That means the leak happened after our meeting, within the last 48 hours. We need to change our approach, Wilson said. If Zhao has inside information, the operation is compromised. What do you suggest? Elon asked. A false flag, Wilson replied. Feed different information to different people. See which version reaches Zhao. A trap, Sarah nodded. It could work. In the meantime, Elon said, Miguel stays here tonight. The building is secure. What about Lucia? Miguel asked. We'll move her to a different safe house, Wilson assured him. New location, new security team. As the others discussed details, Miguel's phone buzzed with a text message. Unknown number. Data verified. Impressive start. 1 week for the rest. Zhao was satisfied. For now, Miguel showed the message to the others. Good, Elon said. That gives us time to find the leak and set our trap. And after that? Miguel asked quietly. Wilson's face was impassive. After that, we arrest Zhao and his network. And then we deal with your situation, Mr. Rodriguez. Miguel nodded, understanding the unspoken message. Help them catch Zhao. And maybe, just maybe, there would be leniency for his own crimes. As the meeting continued late into the night, Miguel couldn't help thinking about his sister, sleeping in the safe house, unaware of the dangerous game being played around her. He had promised her the truth when he returned, but some truths were too dangerous to share. The next morning, Miguel woke on a cot in one of SpaceX's restrooms. These small spaces were designed for engineers working long hours, not for overnight stays, but it had been better than nothing. His first thought was of Lucia. He checked his phone and saw a text from her. Where are you? Your note said you'd be back by morning. Miguel texted back quickly. Work emergency. We'll call soon. He had barely set the phone down when Sarah appeared at the door. Her expression made his stomach drop. What's wrong? He asked. Zhao is gone, she said flatly. The tracking signal from the drive disappeared at 4 a.m. His hotel room is empty. Miguel sat up straight. Gone? Where? We don't know yet. Agent Wilson has people at airports and border crossings, but... She shrugged. If he had help, he could be anywhere by now. What about the data? Did we learn anything before the signal died? Sarah nodded. The files were copied to a secure server with a Chinese IP address. We're tracking it now. Miguel stood up, reaching for his jacket. What about Lucia? Is she safe? The security team moved her to a new location early this morning. She's fine. Sarah handed him a coffee. But we have a new problem. Elon wants to see you right away. In the conference room, Elon sat with Agent Wilson and Grace. Their faces were grim. We've identified the leak, Elon said without preamble as Miguel entered. Who is it? Miguel asked. Wilson slid a tablet across the table. On the screen was a personnel file. Miguel stared at the photo in disbelief. Dr. Alan Parker, head of propulsion? Miguel shook his head. That's impossible. He's been with SpaceX for years. He helped design the Merlin engines, which makes him incredibly valuable to the Chinese, Wilson said. We found evidence of large deposits to offshore accounts dating back 3 years. The trap we set confirmed it, Grace added. We fed Parker false information about moving Lucia, and 2 hours later, Zhao knew. Miguel sat down heavily. I don't understand. Why would someone like Parker risk everything? Money, Wilson said simply. Lots of it. Over $5 million so far. The problem, Elon continued, is that Parker has disappeared too. He didn't show up for work this morning, and he's not at his home. Miguel felt a chill. You think he and Zhao left together? We think Parker realized we were onto him, Wilson said. The question is, what did he tell Zhao about our operation before they disappeared? The implication hung in the air. If Parker had warned Zhao that the USB drive contained tracking software. What? About the data? Miguel asked. Can we still track it? For now, Sarah said. But if they realize it's compromised, they'll isolate it. Elon stood up and paced the room. We need to move quickly. If Parker and Zhao have fled the country, we have a small window before the Chinese government denies all involvement. What's the plan? Miguel asked. We're going to use the tracking data to locate their server, Wilson said. Once we have that, we can see who else accessed the files. And what about me? Miguel asked. What about Lucia? Elon and Wilson exchanged glances. You'll both remain in protective custody, Wilson said, at least until we determine if you're still in danger. And after that? Miguel pressed. Wilson's expression was unreadable. After that, we'll discuss your cooperation and what it means for potential charges. The meeting continued, with Wilson and his team mapping out next steps. Miguel listened, but his mind kept returning to Lucia. She was caught in this mess because of him, because of his choices. After the meeting, Miguel pulled Sarah aside. I need to see my sister, to explain. Sarah hesitated, then nodded. I'll arrange it, but we need to be careful. If Parker told Zhao about her new location, then she could still be in danger, Miguel finished. I understand. 3 hours later, Miguel sat across from Lucia in a small room at an FBI safe house in the Hollywood Hills. The house was modest from the outside, but fortified like a bunker. What's going on, Miguel? Lucia demanded as soon as they were alone. Why are there FBI agents everywhere? Why am I here? Miguel took a deep breath. Do you remember what I told you last night? About being in trouble? Lucia nodded slowly. It's worse than I said. Miguel looked down at his hands. After Mama got sick, I needed money for her treatments. I did something illegal. I shared information about my work at SpaceX with people who wanted to steal it. Lucia's eyes widened. You're a spy? No, Miguel said quickly. Not exactly. I gave them some old designs, things that wouldn't work. But they paid me for it. And the FBI found out? SpaceX found out, Miguel corrected. They caught me. But instead of turning me in right away, they asked for my help to catch the people I was working with. That's why you suddenly got your job back, Lucia realized. And why I'm here. You're working with the FBI? Miguel nodded. I'm helping them catch the man who paid me, and someone else inside SpaceX who was working with him. Lucia was silent for a long moment, processing this information. Are you going to prison? She finally asked, her voice small. I don't know, Miguel answered honestly. I hope not. I'm cooperating fully. But what I did was wrong. There will be consequences. Tears filled Lucia's eyes. You did it for Mama. That's why it started, Miguel agreed. But I still made the EKDE choice, and now you're in danger because of me. Is that why we're here? Am I in danger? We don't think so. Not anymore, Miguel said, trying to sound reassuring. The men we're after have disappeared. But the FBI wants to keep you safe until they're sure. Lucia wiped her eyes. What about the scholarship? Is that even real? Miguel shook his head. No, it was a cover story to get you here quickly. I'm sorry. So I'm not starting at UCLA? No. But, Miguel hesitated. Elon Musk has offered to pay for you to finish your degree at UNAM. Properly. No strings attached. Lucia's eyes widened again. Elon Musk? The rocket guy? You know him? Despite everything, Miguel smiled. Yes, he's my boss. Or was. I'm not sure what I am right now. This is crazy, Lucia muttered. My brother, the spy, working with Elon Musk. And the FBI. Not a spy, Miguel corrected gently. More like a mistake. They talked for another hour, Miguel filling in as many details as he could without compromising the operation. When it was time for him to leave, Lucia hugged him tightly. Be careful, she whispered. I will, he promised. This will be over soon. But it wasn't over. That evening, as Miguel sat in a conference room at FBI headquarters reviewing data from the tracking software, Agent Wilson burst through the door. We've got a problem, he said tersely. The safe house has been compromised. Miguel stood up so quickly his chair fell backward. Lucia? She's fine, Wilson assured him quickly. Our agents got her out in time. We're moving her to a new location. Now. What happened? Sarah asked, joining them. 2 men attempted to enter the property about an hour ago, Wilson reported. They had sophisticated equipment and weapons. Our agents intercepted them before they got inside. Did you catch them? Miguel asked. Wilson shook his head. They escaped, but we have clear images from the security cameras. He pulled up photos on his tablet. Ring any bells? Miguel studied the images. Both men were Asian, dressed in dark clothing. He shook his head. I've never seen them before. They're not amateurs, Wilson said. These are professionals, which means Zhao has serious backing. How did they find the safe house? Sarah asked. That location was chosen after Parker disappeared. Wilson's expression darkened. That's the question, isn't it? Someone else must have access to our operation. Miguel felt sick. There's another mole? Or Parker had a way to access our systems even after he disappeared, Wilson suggested. We're checking everything now. What do we do? Miguel asked. We accelerate the operation, Wilson decided. The tracking data shows the server is in a facility outside Shanghai. We're coordinating with Chinese authorities who work with us on intellectual property theft. Will they help? Sarah asked skeptically. Some will, Wilson said. There are factions within their government. Not everyone supports industrial espionage. Miguel paced the small room. And Lucia? Where is she now? We're not discussing that here, Wilson said firmly, or anywhere electronic. From now on, all sensitive information is delivered in person only. I need to see her, Miguel insisted. Not possible right now, Wilson replied. It's too dangerous. For both of you. Before Miguel could protest further, Wilson's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression changed. What is it? Sarah asked. Parker's car was just found abandoned at Long Beach Harbor, Wilson said, already, moving toward the door. I need to get down there. After Wilson left, Miguel turned to Sarah. This is getting worse, not better. We're closing in, Sarah assured him. The tracking data is solid. Once we locate the server facility, we'll have them. And in the meantime, my sister is in danger, Miguel said bitterly. Because of me. She's safe, Sarah said firmly. The FBI's best team is with her. No one will find her. Miguel wasn't convinced, but there was nothing he could do. He returned to analyzing the tracking data, trying to identify patterns in how the stolen information was being accessed. Hours passed. Late that night, as most of the FBI team had gone home, Leaving only a skeleton crew, Miguel's phone buzzed, with a text from an unknown number. His blood ran cold as he read the message. "We have your sister. Parker's launch codes for her life. 1 hour." Attached was a photo of Lucia, terrified but apparently unharmed, holding today's newspaper. Miguel stared at the screen in horror. The FBI's best team had failed. Somehow, Zhao had found her again, and now Miguel faced an impossible choice: betray his country again or sacrifice his sister. Miguel stared at his phone, his hands shaking. The image of Lucia's frightened face burned into his mind. 1 hour. That's all the time he had to decide. He knew he should alert Wilson and Sarah immediately. That was the protocol. But something held him back. The FBI's best team had failed to protect Lucia. What if they failed again? Miguel slipped his phone into his pocket and walked quickly to the bathroom. Once alone, he pulled out the phone, again, and texted back, "How do I know she's really alive?" The response came seconds later. A short video of Lucia. She was sitting in what looked like a warehouse, speaking today's date and time. Her voice trembled, but she was unharmed. "What are Parker's launch codes?" Miguel texted. He needed to buy time, to think. "You know what we want," came the reply. "The Project Boomerang engine ignition sequence. Parker says you have access now." Miguel's mind raced. He did have access. Limited. Access granted by Elon specifically for this operation. But the ignition sequence was the heart of the Boomerang technology, the key innovation that made the plasma propulsion system work. If he gave it to Zhao, he would be handing over the most valuable technology SpaceX had ever developed. And this time, it wouldn't be fake designs. It would be the real thing. "I need proof she'll be released," Miguel typed. "No negotiations. 1 hour. Location will follow." Miguel leaned against the bathroom wall, his mind spinning. He had to make a decision: alert the FBI and risk Lucia's life, or meet Zhao's demands and betray everything he was trying to make right. There was a third option, but it was risky, possibly fatal. Miguel washed his face with cold water and returned to the FBI conference room. Sarah was still there, reviewing data. "I need some air," Miguel told her. "Just going to step outside for a few minutes." Sarah looked up, concerned. "Everything okay?" "Just tired," Miguel lied. "Need to clear my head." Sarah nodded. "Don't go far. Wilson should be back soon with news from the harbor." "I won't," Miguel promised. Outside, in the cool night air, Miguel made his decision. He texted a number he had memorized but never thought he'd use. "It's Miguel. Emergency. Need to speak to EM directly. Life or death." He didn't expect an immediate response, but his phone rang less than a minute later. "Miguel!" Elon's voice was alert, despite the late hour. "What's happening?" "They have Lucia," Miguel said, keeping his voice low. "Zhao wants the Boomerang ignition sequence. I have 1 hour." There was a brief silence. "Where are you now?" "Outside FBI headquarters." Sarah's inside. "Don't tell her," Elon said quickly. "Not yet. The FBI has been compromised. That's how they found the safe house." Miguel's stomach dropped. "What? How do you know?" "Grace discovered it an hour ago. Someone's been accessing the FBI secure server from an unauthorized terminal. We were about to call Wilson." "What do I do?" Miguel asked desperately. "If I alert the FBI, Lucia could die. If I give Zhao what he wants—" "You give him what he wants," Elon said firmly, "but not what he thinks he's getting." "I don't understand. Remember the USB drive? We can do the same thing with the ignition sequence. Create a version that looks legitimate but contains hidden tracking code, more sophisticated this time. Will that work twice? Miguel asked doubtfully. It has to, Elon replied. Where's the meeting? I don't know yet. They're sending the location. When you get it, text me. I'll have a team ready. Not the FBI, Miguel insisted. No, my people. People I trust completely. Elon paused. Miguel, listen carefully. There's something else going on here. Something bigger than Zhao or Parker. What do you mean? I think this whole operation, from the beginning, has been about something else. Not just stealing technology. What? Then, I'm not sure yet, Elon admitted, but be careful, very careful. After hanging up, Miguel returned inside. Sarah was on the phone, her back to him. He quickly accessed the Boomerang files, downloaded the ignition sequence to a small drive, and pocketed it. Then he pretended to work until his phone buzzed again. The location. An abandoned warehouse in Long Beach, near where Parker's car had been found. Miguel texted the address to Elon, then turned to Sarah. I need to use the restroom again. Too much coffee. She nodded absently, still focused on her call. Miguel walked out of the conference room, down the hall, and straight out of the building. A car was waiting at the curb. A black Tesla Model X. The window rolled down to reveal one of Elon's security team. Mr. Rodriguez, we're your ride. The warehouse loomed dark and silent against the night sky. Miguel approached alone, as instructed. The modified ignition sequence was on a drive in his pocket. Elon's team was positioned nearby, invisible, in the shadows. The side door of the warehouse creaked open as Miguel approached. A man Miguel didn't recognize gestured him inside. The interior was vast and mostly empty. A single light illuminated the center where Lucia sat on a chair, her hands bound behind her. Zhao stood beside her, immaculate as always in a tailored suit that seemed out of place in the gritty surroundings. Miguel, Zhao greeted him calmly. Thank you for coming alone. Let her go, Miguel said, his voice steadier than he felt. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this, Zhao replied. She's the reason you're here. The reason you helped us in the first place. Lucia looked up at her brother, tears streaming down her face. Miguel, I'm sorry. They were waiting at the new safe house. They knew exactly where to find me. It's not your fault, Miguel assured her. To Zhao, he said, I have what you want, the ignition sequence. Now let her go. The sequence first, Zhao insisted. Miguel pulled the drive from his pocket. It's all here. The complete sequence, with startup protocols and shutdown procedures. How do I know it's real? Zhao asked, making no move to take the drive. Test it, Miguel challenged. Your technical team will see it matches the theoretical models exactly. Zhao studied Miguel's face, then nodded to one of his men who stepped forward to take the drive. Release her, Zhao ordered. The man standing behind Lucia cut her bonds. She stood shakily, rubbing her wrists. Go to your brother, Zhao told her. Lucia ran to Miguel, who embraced her tightly. Are you okay? He whispered. She nodded against his shoulder. How touching, a familiar voice said from the shadows. Miguel froze as Dr. Alan Parker stepped into the light. The respected engineer looked different somehow. Harder, colder than Miguel remembered, Dr. Parker, Miguel acknowledged. I should have known you'd be here. You should have, Parker agreed. But you never were very observant, Rodriguez. Too focused on your own problems to see the bigger picture. And what is the bigger picture? Miguel asked, keeping Lucia partly behind him. Parker smiled thinly. China isn't stealing our technology. We're giving it to them. or rather, selling it, with full authorization. Miguel stared in disbelief. What are you talking about? Did you really think SpaceX operates independently? That Elon Musk answers to no one? Parker shook his head. Every major aerospace company works with the government, sometimes openly, sometimes not so openly. You're saying the U.S. government authorized selling Boomerang to China? Miguel asked incredulously. That's insane! Not selling, Parker corrected. Sharing. A controlled transfer of technology as part of a larger geopolitical arrangement. Zhao stepped forward. What Dr. Parker is trying to say, Miguel, is that this operation was never about stealing secrets. It was about creating a plausible path for technology transfer that would look like theft rather than cooperation. Miguel's mind reeled. Nothing made sense. But the FBI, Wilson. Some elements of the FBI are aware, Parker said. Others aren't. Compartmentalization. Then why involve me at all? Miguel demanded. Why the charade with my mother's illness and the money? We needed someone believable, Zhao explained. Someone with a genuine motive for betraying SpaceX. Your mother's illness was unfortunate but convenient. You used me, Miguel said, anger rising. Used my mother's suffering as a cover. And you took the money, Parker reminded him coldly. Don't pretend to be innocent, Rodriguez. Lucia squeezed Miguel's arm. Miguel, what are they talking about? It doesn't matter, Miguel told her. We're leaving now. You have what you wanted, he said to Zhao and Parker. Parker laughed. I'm afraid it's not that simple. We can't have you running back to tell Elon Musk about our little arrangement. Elon doesn't know? Miguel asked, surprised. Mr. Musk is brilliant, but idealistic, Zhao said. He believes the future of space belongs to everyone. His government disagrees. Then why let him develop Boomerang at all? Because he's the best at what he does, Parker said simply. Better to have him build it and take it than to try building it ourselves. Miguel stepped backward, pulling Lucia with him. So what happens now? Parker pulled a gun from his jacket. Now you both have a tragic accident. A murder-suicide, perhaps. The guilty engineer, unable to live with his betrayal, takes his sister with him. No! Miguel pushed Lucia toward the door. Run! As Lucia sprinted away, the warehouse erupted in chaos. The doors burst open as Elon's security team rushed in, weapons drawn. Gunfire erupted from Zhao's men. Miguel dove behind a concrete pillar. Through the confusion, he saw Parker running for a side exit. Without thinking, Miguel gave chase. He caught up to Parker in an alley behind the warehouse. The older man turned, his gun raised. Stop right there. Rodriguez, Parker ordered, breathing heavily. It's over, Parker, Miguel said, keeping his distance. Elon's team is inside. The FBI is on the way. This changes nothing, Parker sneered. Do you think they'll believe you? A confessed spy claiming some wild conspiracy? Against the word of a respected NASA veteran? Miguel froze. NASA? You worked for NASA? Parker's smile was cold. For 30 years. Where do you think SpaceX gets its best engineers? And its government connections, Miguel realized. Now you're understanding, Parker said. This goes higher than you can imagine, Rodriguez. Walk away now. And maybe you and your sister live. Keep pushing, and you both disappear. Miguel heard sirens in the distance. FBI, finally arriving. You won't get away, Miguel said, stalling for time. Parker laughed. I already have. He lowered his gun slightly. Think about it, Rodriguez. Help us finish what we started. There's a place for you in this operation. A real place, not as a pawn. For a brief moment, Miguel was tempted. Then he thought of his mother, of Lucia, of Elon's trust in him. No, he said firmly. I'm done being used. Parker's face hardened. He raised his gun again. Wrong choice. A shot rang out. Miguel flinched, expecting pain. But it was Parker who staggered backward, a red stain spreading across his chest. Miguel turned to see Sarah Chen standing behind him, her gun still raised. "Sarah?" Miguel gasped. "How did you—" "Elon called me," Sarah said, keeping her weapon trained on Parker as he collapsed to the ground. "Told me everything. I got here as fast as I could." Parker lay on the ground, blood pooling beneath him. His eyes found Miguel's. "You have no idea what you've done," he whispered. Then his gaze went blank. Behind them, the warehouse had gone, silent. The gunfire had stopped. Lucia, Miguel remembered suddenly. "My sister. She's safe," Sarah assured him. "Elon's team got her out first thing." Miguel slumped against the alley wall, the adrenaline draining from his body. "What about Zhao?" Sarah holstered her weapon. "In custody, along with his men." "And the drive? The ignition sequence?" "Recovered," Sarah confirmed. "The tracking code is already active. It's leading us to more conspirators." Miguel closed his eyes briefly. It was over. Not the way he had expected, but over. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Sarah looked at Parker's body, then back at Miguel. "Now we find out how deep this goes. Who Parker was really working for, and what they wanted with Boomerang. And me? Lucia? That depends on what Elon Musk has to say about it," a new voice answered. Miguel looked up to see Agent Wilson approaching, flanked by FBI agents. "Wilson?" Sarah nodded. "Glad you could join us." Wilson surveyed the scene grimly. "Parker? He gave me no choice," Sarah said. Wilson sighed. "A shame. He could have told us a lot." He turned to Miguel. "Your sister is with Mr. Musk. He's taken personal responsibility for her safety. And for yours," he added, "if you're willing to continue helping us." Miguel straightened up. "Helping you do what?" "Find the truth," Wilson said simply. "Whatever it is." 3 days later, Miguel stood on a bluff overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Beside him, Elon Musk gazed out at the water, lost in thought. "The FBI cleared you of all charges," Elon said finally. "Your cooperation outweighed your initial actions." "Thanks to your testimony," Miguel acknowledged. "You earned it," Elon replied. "You could have given Zhao the real ignition sequence to save your sister. Instead, you trusted me." "Did you know?" Miguel asked. "About Parker? About what he claimed the government was doing?" Elon was silent for a long moment. "I had suspicions," he finally admitted. "Too many coincidences. Too many convenient security breaches over the years. So it's true. The government was using SpaceX to develop technology they could secretly share with China?" Elon shrugged. "Some elements within the government, perhaps. Not all. That's what Wilson and his team are trying to figure out." "And Boomerang? What happens to it now?" "We continue developing it," Elon said firmly. "But with better security. Much better." Miguel looked down at the job offer in his hand. Lead Engineer, Security Systems Integration. A position Elon had created just for him. "Why me?" Miguel asked. "After everything that happened?" Elon smiled slightly. "Because you made a mistake for the right reason. Then you worked harder than anyone to fix it. And because I know how security can be breached," Miguel added ruefully. "Exactly. The best security experts are often reformed hackers. Elon turned to face him fully. So, what do you say? Ready to get back to changing the future of space travel? Miguel thought about his journey. From SpaceX engineer to fast food worker, from reluctant spy to key player in uncovering a conspiracy, through it all, trying to protect his family. What about Lucia? He asked. The scholarship to UCLA is real this time, Elon assured him. No strings attached. Miguel looked out at the ocean once more, then back at the job offer. His second chance. Perhaps his last one. I'm in, he said, extending his hand. As they shook hands, sealing the agreement, Miguel felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The past couldn't be erased, but the future was still unwritten. And somewhere in that future, among the stars that SpaceX was reaching for, was redemption. Thank you so much for joining us for The Rocket and the Register. The surprising tale of what happened when Elon Musk discovered a former SpaceX engineer working at Wendy's. I'd love to know where you're listening from today. Are you enjoying this content from sunny California, just like our characters? Or perhaps you're tuning in from somewhere across the globe? If you enjoyed this compelling narrative about second chances, corporate espionage, and the lengths someone will go to protect their family, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We create captivating content like this every week. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family who might enjoy it too. Spreading these videos helps us create more content and shares a moment of entertainment with those you care about. Until next time, keep looking up at the stars. You never know what secrets they might hold, or what extraordinary things ordinary people might do to reach them.